Hello, today I will be sewing a circle skirt and Mcalls pattern 8198. As you can see here, I'm starting out by cutting out the circle skirt with this width of fabric, which is 44" wide. I had to cut, this is the full circle and then 2 quarter circles. Found the tape measure worked really nice for double checking my length rather than a flexible ruler. No, not ruler. Tape measure. And then with with the remaining from that, I cut out the other quarter circle. I'm using the pre-cut fabric bundles from Walmart to make this. So I only had 3-yard quantities, so that's why I couldn't cut out 2 full circles. And then cutting out the bodice pieces. For the top to match. After I cut out the skirt to make sure that I had enough fabric. And then here I cut out my waistband for the skirt. I did, I think, about 4 inches wide, and I did the whole width of the fabric, so I had to have some extra room to tie it. And here, I didn't, forgot to record it, but I cut out pockets, and here's how I laid them out and attached them to my, in between my quarters and my half. And then, so I put the full in the front and then the seam in the back. And I sewed the waistband. And then here's me sewing the sleeve band for the shirt. I forgot to record sewing some of the bodice together, but that was pretty simple stuff. And then finishing off my seams, I was using this white fabric as interfacing. Cutting that so I can fold my seam to be able to finish off that seam quite nicely. And then always cutting the threads so that they don't get too overwhelming. Repeating it on the other side. And then here is a closer look at what I am doing from a different angle. See, I sewed the seam and then cut the interfacing. Fold the seam allowance over. Stitch. Don't forget the back stitch. Cut threads and repeat on the other seam, or side of the seam. And then here I am hemming the bottom of the sleeve cap, the side without the notches, making sure that edge is nice and flipped over and contained so that no frayage will happen. And then here I am attaching the sleeves. I stitched the gathering stitches and gathered them to match the length, the size of the sleeve cap, pinned them together, and then sewing. And it does say in the instructions to sew 2 lines, which is actually very important because, well, it says to baste and sew again 1/4 inch away from that seam. That way you have a enclosed little area that in the next step it says to do a slip stitch or ladder stitch to attach, well, not attach, but you fold the sleeve cap under and you slip stitch it to that seam, and that gives a spot for you to stitch your stitches to where they will not be visible from the outside, so it creates a very clean finish. I also hand stitched those off screen. And then I had this in the wrong order then. This is attaching the sleeve to the sleeve cap. Kind of a fiddly little thing because it's such small circles. And then here, just in general, finishing all the seams, making sure that everything's nice and contained so no frayage is going to happen. Guest appearance of Yeti. And then another sleeve attaching to the garment. And then attaching the hemming, and then creating a spot for the elastic to be contained in the waistband with Pearl bothering me the whole time. She was very set on being up there playing with the sewing machine while I was doing this. Her favorite thing is when the sewing machine is trying to come over and chew on my thread and break it, so every time I sew, she comes over and I have to rethread the machine afterwards because she'll come over and bite through it very quickly. Or I'll leave the sewing machine and just to go do something, and I'll come back and she'll have done exactly this. Chewed through the thread. Doesn't eat it, just wants to break it. And here I am, installing the elastic into the casing. Pearl watching the whole time. then using the last bit of thread in the machine to stitch that elastic together. Taking care to make sure her paws don't get anywhere near there. Thankfully, on top of the machine, she can't really reach the needle. But this is how it looks completed. Thanks for watching.